Today's objective is to be able to solve equations with variables on both sides by isolating the variable. So we're still going to be practicing solving equations that have variables on both sides, but we're going to be adding an extra layer to it. So here we have the equation 5 parentheses x minus 2 is equal to 2 parentheses x plus 10. And our job is to figure out what is the value of x that gives us the same thing on both sides of this equation. Now usually when we see an equation that has variables on both sides, the first thing that we want to do is to make sure that our couples are on one side of the equation. However, because we have parentheses here, we have parentheses on the left hand side and we have parentheses on the right hand side as well, we cannot move anything around until we get rid of those parentheses. This x minus 2 right now is trapped inside of that parentheses, so I can't move it around. And this x plus 10 is also trapped inside of that parentheses, so I can't move that around either. So what we're going to do is we're going to use one of the properties that we've learned about to free the parts of our equations that we need to move around in order to solve for x. So in the left hand side of my equation, I have 5 parentheses x minus 2. Now in order to get rid of those parentheses, there's one property that we can use that we've learned about before. We're going to use our distributive property to distribute that 5 to the x minus 2, and that way the x minus 2 can come out of the parentheses. I know that I can use the distributive property because there's no plus sign or minus sign in between the 5 and the parentheses, so I know that the 5 is being multiplied by x minus 2. So let's distribute. I'm taking this positive 5 and I'm distributing it to the x, so I have 5 times x. And then I have 5 times negative 2. And on the other side, I have 2 times x. And I have 2 times positive 10. So all I've done is distribute what's outside of the parentheses to what's inside. And when I simplify that, I have 5x minus 10 is equal to 2x plus 20. So I did 5 times x to give me 5x. I did 5 times negative 2 to give me negative 10. And on the right hand side, in order to free that x plus 10, I have 2 times x, which is 2x, and 2 times positive 10, which is positive 20. So now I have an equation that looks very similar to the ones that we've worked in the previous lesson. So now I can start solving for the variable that I need, in this case x. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my variables to one side of my equation. So I can either bring this 5x over here, or I can bring this 2x over here. As I mentioned in class before, any of those two steps is actually correct. But I usually begin by sending the smaller x to the bigger x, just to avoid more negative numbers. So I'm going to bring the 2x to the 5x. Now since this is a positive 2x, then I know that if I want to bring it to the other side, anytime that I bring something from one side of my equal sign to the other, I can only use inverse operation. We want to think of this equal sign as a wall. So anytime I bring something from one side of the wall to the other side of the wall, I can only do that by using inverse operation. So if I want to move this positive 2x, then I have to subtract 2x on both sides. And again, I'm not subtracting 2x from negative 10 because those two things are not like terms. And now I can simplify it. This is going to give me 3x. I can bring down my negative 10, bring down my equal sign. This is going to cancel out, and I can bring down my positive 20. So now I'm left with the side chick and couple situation here. I know that my couple is 3x because those are the two things that are being multiplied. They're married to each other. And I know that negative 10 is my side chick. Now sometimes we get a little confused as to what we should move next. Sometimes people question, do I move this negative 10 or do I move this positive 20? We always want to start by getting the couple alone. We want the couple to be alone so that we can then separate them. So I don't want to bring this 20 over here because that means I'm bringing more things towards my couple. Instead, I want to look to the side of where my couple is, and anything that's on the same side of my couple has to go to the opposite side. So this negative 10 here is on the same side of my couple, which means I want to send it to where the 20, or to the other side of my equal sign. And again, if I'm sending anything to the opposite side of the equal sign, I can only do that by using inverse operation. So I'm going to add 10 here, and I'm going to add 10 over here, and see what I get. This is going to cancel out, so I have 3x is equal to 30. So now that I have my couple alone, now I want to have the x by itself. I just want x here, so I need to get rid of this 3. Now if I want to send this 3 to the opposite side of my equal sign, I know that this 3 is being multiplied with x. So if I do the opposite, that would be division. So we're going to divide by 3 on both sides, and we're going to get x is equal to 10. Now your test is going to ask you to check your work for at least 3 problems, so we want to make sure that we know how to self-check when we're solving these equations. So in order to check, I'm going to take my equation 5 parentheses x minus 2 equals 2 parentheses x plus 10, and I'm going to plug in the value that I got for x. So I have 5 parentheses. Now I'm substituting for x, so I need another set of parentheses. Minus 2 is equal to 2 parentheses 10 plus 10. When I put this in my calculator, I'm going to get a value of 40. And when I put this side on my calculator, I'm going to get a value of 40 as well, which means we've solved this question correctly. So for today's task, you want to make sure that if you see parentheses on either sides of your equations, could be on one side, could be on both, could be on neither, but if you do see parentheses, you want to distribute first and then solve it the way that we've learned how to solve before. Also, don't forget to check.